Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. They're doing it well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the members of the elect, the all elected, the 1/3. Shalom. This is Brother Dawadai from GMS Detroit Camp. Coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Today I want to do a video going in on this image or this YouTube video that you see on the screen, which the link to it will be in the description box below. Right, which by the way, this is another in transit out on Ratazah, which means Lord's will. This video will be edifying to the Lord's elect. And when you watch the video, basically what he's saying is that concerning Jake, all right, particularly you so-called Negroes, he's basically saying that, you shouldn't be, given any type of mercy. You shouldn't be showing any type of mercy. You shouldn't get any type of assistance, all right? And that you shouldn't be using slavery as an excuse, and that as if he has nothing to do with it. When you watch the video, he even goes as far as to say, he never owned any slaves and you never picked any cotton. But he's just the devil. You can't expect... All right, you can't expect him to, to comply. All right, you can't expect him to get it. You can't expect him to understand the truth. All right, because one of the main things, all right, one of the most important things, and one of the main things in this truth is something called reincarnation. All right, re meaning back, all right, and then carnation, all right, meaning flesh, all right, back in the flesh. What's coming back in the flesh? The spirit. As written, there is no new thing under the sun. All right, they got the saying, history repeats itself. Why? Because you have the same spirits coming back, doing the same things that they did before. You see? That's one of the main reasons the so-called white man rejects reincarnation. Why? Because that would mean that he was his forefathers. He was the one enslaving the so-called Negroes. Therefore, he would have to pay. That's one of the main reasons why they hate the very thought, all right, of reincarnation. They hate it. They fight against it passionately. They reject it. Why? Because that would mean that he would have to pay. And Esau, he doesn't want to pay. All right, here it is. They benefited off of slavery. Here it is. We built up their whole kingdom. We built up their empire. We built up America. All right? We built up America. And all of a sudden, he's like, well, that has nothing to do with us. You were never a slave. I was never a slave owner. Just forget about it. That's madness. Moreover, and then they even went as far as to say, well, you had other people that got put in slavery. Okay, but nothing compares to what they did to the so-called Negroes. All right, our slavery, all right, Jake being in slavery was unprecedented, meaning it has never happened before. All right, slavery was never on that magnitude, on that level, the level of severeness that the so-called white man, all right, enacted upon our people. That has never been done before. All right, all the madness that this devil is doing, performing on our women without any form of anesthetics, all right, or anesthesia, I think that's what they call it. Operating on our woman, not as if she were sick, but just to see, okay, if we do this, then what'll happen to her? I believe even the father of how do they call it? The father of gynecology. I think that's how you said. All right. How did he know all that information? Well, he was operating on the slave woman. Operated on them without any form of anesthesia. But all of a sudden, he gets exonerated. All of a sudden, he doesn't have to pay. You don't have to pay. Here it is. You're benefiting off of society. That's how you got to the top. All right. When Trump says "Make America Great Again," when was America great? Primarily when they had the so-called Negroes in slavery. That was the height of Esau's empire, the height of his kingdom. All right. Free labor. You ain't got to pay them, and they're making bank. All right. They're at the peak of their power. All right. So when he says "Make America Great Again," America was great when Jake was in slavery. All right, that's when the so-called white man, he could do whatever he wanted to do. When Jake was oppressed, all right, Even after slavery, Jake was still catching hell underneath the so-called white man. All right? So that's when America was great. That's when the so-called white man was great. When Jake was on the bottom. And Jake is still on the bottom. Not as bad as they were before. You see? But the point being that what? Esau benefited off of us being in slavery. All right? Esau's school systems, there's a reason why the so-called white man, his school system is much, much, much better. All right? They're very far ahead compared to Jake. All right? Jake schools, they get the best teachers. I remember it. All right? They would take the best teachers from the hood and ship them off into a white neighborhood. You know? I can think of 2 teachers that I had in high school that were, up there at the top of their class. And guess what they did? They took them up out of there. They promoted them, gave them more money. All right? Gave them more money in order to get them up out of that community. You see? Gave them more money to get them up out of there. Why? Because they want the best of the best for the so-called white man. They want Esau to have the best. They have the best teachers. They live in the best communities. All right? They eat the best foods. Here it is. We eating square pizzas. Square pizzas with cube pepperoni. Meanwhile, they're getting real pizza. They get the best of the best. Here it is, Esau, all right? He goes to school, and then what? He has to deal with, he comes home to a warm meal, both parents in the household. Meanwhile, Jake got to walk home. Shoot, Esau, he gets to either, he gets picked up, all right, or he has a nice bus system that takes him home. Meanwhile, Jake got to walk home. Because why? Their parents got to work while their sons and daughters are in school. And then guess what happens? Jake is walking through the hood, getting jumped, shot at, beat up, getting robbed. I remember that back when I was growing up, they had Jake stealing iPhones. Jake would rob you outside of your school. Jake would jump you outside of school. Jake would seek to fight you outside of your school. Esau don't have to deal with that. All right? They don't, as written, they're not in trouble as other men. That's why they say such stupid statements as that. Because why? They don't have to deal with it. But that's all right. Because eventually the roles are going to be reversed. That's why the scriptures say, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Live it up. Enjoy your rulership. Enjoy your kingdom. Talk all the garbage that you want right now. Because why? This is your time. All right? But then what does it say? Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall be passed through unto thee. Now it's going to be your turn. Your turn to be the first fired, the last hired. Your turn, which really, they're going to have 100% employment rate in the kingdom. You know why? Because they're going to be our slaves. So they ain't got to worry about not having a job. They're going to be put to work. All right? They're going to have to deal with their woman coming up against them. They're going to have to deal with catching brutal hell, being afflicted, being looked down upon, people talking mess about them. They're going to have to deal with all that in the kingdom of heaven, being diseased, so on and so forth. They're going to go through the worst of the worst, having poor living conditions, eating garbage foods. Because Esau, he's going to catch brutal hell, all right? Even though the earth is going to be rejuvenated, it's going to be back in its order, all right, we're going to have nice, pristine food. That doesn't mean we got to give it to him. We can make him eat dirt if we want. Make him eat grass like an ox. And then every time he dies, put his spirit right back in him. Get back to work. Scripture say thy heart shall meditate terror. All right? Man, he got no clue what's coming to him. But this is his time. This is the time of Esau, Edom. This is his time. All right? What does the scripture say? Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. All right? Eventually this devil's going to be brought down. All that he labored for, all that he desired, his new world order, put in Jake in slavery, microchipping the world, that's going to be brought to naught. It's going to be brought down. As written, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. All right, which is their new world order. So that's going to be disappointed. Just you wait. All right, and after 1,000 years of hardcore slavery, you're going to be Obadiah 18. All right, as in the eye which have seen him shall see him no more. So the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. The Lord ain't going to give you 1 millisecond past your appointed time. All right? As is written, the number thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. The numbers of his years are with thee. The Lord ain't going to give you 1 millisecond past your rulership. All right? So your joy is but for a moment. You're only allowed to rule but so long that the Lord's going to boot you out of power. You know, so live it up. All right? With that, I'm going to leave it there. All praises, honors, and glories be unto Yahweh, Bashim, Eloshai, Bashim, HaKodash. The blinders to my apostles and elders, the very millstone, they're doing evil well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the members of the elect, the afflicted, the 1/3. Once again, the link to this video will be in the description box below. Shalom.